Who doesn't want high-definition TV? Nobody! That's why you bought that big TV in the first place, right? But the thing is, plenty people got that big flat-screen TV for Christmas or their birthday or whatever, but they didn't get an HD cable box to go with it. That means that they're watching this regular TV signal on their big HD TV, and it could look so much better. See, an HD image is 4 times the size of a regular digital TV image. To get true HD, you gotta have RevTV HD to go along with your HD TV. So here's the deal. You can get a RevTV HD box today for about as much as you're paying now for your regular digital box. And you'll only pay half the cost to access over 100 HD channels with RevTV HD. You're welcome.
Your HD TV deserves true HD, so upgrade to RevTV HD today for just $4.99 a month for a limited time from RevTV. RevTV HD, how we define TV.
The Bahamas named in a United Nations homicide report. A Bahamian woman charged in a U.S. court. Bahamians celebrate Jesus' resurrection, plus inside the Ace of Spades exhibition. We've got those stories and a whole lot more tonight. Happy Easter, everyone. I'm Bonnie Toot, and NB12 Weekend starts now. Topping news tonight, a recently released United Nations report reveals that the Bahamas had the 3rd highest rate in the region in 2012 as it relates to murders. The report released by the UN Office on Drugs and Crime also noted that countries like the Bahamas show increasing trends of homicides being linked to gangs and organized criminal groups. It comes months after a Nassau Guardian survey revealed that the Bahamas also had the 3rd highest murder rate in the region last year. Jasmine Bonamy breaks down the numbers in this report.
The report analyzes the murders of 437,000 people from across the world in the year 2012. The 2013 study found that nearly 500,000 people were murdered in 2012, and killings were largely concentrated in 2 regions, the Americas and Africa. The Caribbean accounted for nearly 5,000 of those homicides. The Bahamas was 3rd on the list of Caribbean countries with a rate of 29.8 homicides per 100,000 people. The country recorded 111 homicides in 2012. Jamaica topped the list with 30.8 homicides per 100,000 people in 2012. St. Kitts and Nevis reported a high proportion of murders relative to its tiny population, with 33.6 per 100,000 people in 2012. That year, only 18 murders were recorded. However, it was enough to propel the nation to the number 2 spot in the Caribbean. UNODC defines homicide as an unlawful death purposely inflicted on a person by another person, not directly related to an armed conflict. The report noted that while organized and gang-related crimes were down in many countries, quote, the picture is different in Central America and the Caribbean, where countries reporting on homicides linked to gangs and organized criminal groups often show increasing trends, particularly the Bahamas, Belize, El Salvador, and Honduras, end quote. The Bahamas narrowly avoided a top 10 placement by just 1 point. However, Jamaica and St. Kitts both ranked in the top 10. The UN homicide report comes months after a Nassau Guardian survey, which tracked crime in the Caribbean. The survey shows that the Bahamas also had the highest murder rate among 13 Caribbean countries in 2013. In 2011, the Bahamas had the 5th highest murder rate among 15 Caribbean countries. Now, the report also notes that this region has a vastly lower conviction rate for murder at 24% compared to 48% in Asia and 81% in Europe. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
A 39-year-old murder suspect who was released on bail is back behind bars tonight after he allegedly committed an armed robbery in Faith Avenue this morning. Police say the man who was charged in connection with a triple murder in 2010 was out on bail. And at 3 this morning, he allegedly robbed the woman of her 2009 Honda Accord. Southwestern Division officers who were patrolling the area at the time spotted the vehicle and ordered the suspect to stop. However, he sped off, leading police on a high-speed chase. Authorities say the suspect then jumped out of the car, dropped the handgun, and ran. Officers pursued him and arrested him in nearby bushes. His handgun was also recovered. Just last month, Police Commissioner Ellison Greenslade expressed concern about violent offenders being granted bail, asserting that some suspects are just too dangerous to be released onto our streets. A 44-year-old Bahamian woman has been charged in a Florida court with helping a 70-year-old fugitive flee the United States and seek refuge in the Bahamas. The Orlando Sentinel reported that Patrice Smith Bullard was picked up by authorities in Fort Lauderdale on Thursday morning as she prepared to board a flight to the Bahamas. According to the Sentinel, 70-year-old Looms Wheeler Jr. told authorities that Bullard gave him the names and numbers of people she knows in the Bahamas, drove him to Miami, and provided him with a hotel room until an unknown male took him to the Bahamas by boat. Wheeler, who reportedly cut off his GPS monitor and fled the U.S. while awaiting trial on child rape charges, was arrested by police on Exuma last week. According to media reports, he will now be held without bail until he stands trial on 9 counts of capital sexual battery. Former chairman of the National Advisory Council on Crime, Bishop Simeon Hall, has asserted that the judiciary is nearing the edge of irrelevance. This after several police and national security officials expressed concern over the number of violent offenders being granted bail only to commit more crimes. Hall says the FAIR Index is at its highest level in the Bahamas and crime has become a national nightmare.
Crime is everybody's business. But in the long run, the church doesn't make the decisions.
National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage recently suggested that the rate of homicides in this country would be lower if certain people were not granted bail. Hall is calling on all political parties to come together for a national conclave to develop a 20-year plan on crime.
Would-be criminals, repeat offenders, are not afraid of what the lawmakers are saying.
In January, Hall called the crime plan announced by Prime Minister Perry Christie laughable. As the government transitions to the implementation of digital recording in the courts, Chief Justice Sir Michael Barnett says he is not persuaded that every magistrate needs a stenographer. Stenographers were recently pulled from the lower courts, a move opposed by some defense attorneys who say it represents a retrograde step in the administration of justice. Sir Michael says while he sympathizes with defense attorneys and magistrates, this issue has to be put into perspective.
Magistrates' courts are summary courts. Their matters should be dealt with quickly. Not everything a lawyer says needs to be written down. Lawyers say a lot of things that really do not need to be written down. There are no stenographers in the magistrates' courts in Abaco, Eleuthera, Exuma, 8 Mile Rock. There are a lot of courts in the Family Islands do not have stenographers, and they perform quite efficiently.
Furthermore, he says not every case requires a written record.
Those cases that require a written record, a case could be made, and there may be cases in which in a magistrate's court there is a need for stenographers, and those stenographers should be provided. Hopefully, we will have the process of digital recording in the near future. But I'm not persuaded that every magistrate in every court needs a stenographer.